Oh, it's working. Wait, are we live? We're live. Hey, it worked. Whoa, that took a while. It's still really bright. Okay. Hey, look, I am jumping on here. You see the title of this. I'm jumping on here just for a couple of reasons. I got the studio slash um, office slash shed done. You guys saw some of the videos earlier, well, late last year and earlier this year. I stopped uploading about 6 months ago. Uh, and before that, I wasn't really uploading much at all for a number of reasons, and I'll get into that. I'm trying to get this lighting set because I'm still learning this whole deal. I have all this like electronic stuff for the lighting. Let me see if I can brighten this up just a little bit because it's pretty. Is that better? That looks a little less grainy. I don't know how to use this equipment quite yet. Yeah. So, anyways, about 6 months ago, stopped uploading videos. Was it intentional? Not. I mean, not really. Let me just put it bluntly. I lost interest. Like, okay, I lost interest. I've done this video a number of times, like recorded it. I probably have this video recorded a whole bunch of times. Why we stopped uploading to YouTube really a couple of years ago. And then really just in the last 6 months, nothing. So there's been a number of reasons over the last couple of years. Probably the biggest reasons is one of the biggest reasons is YouTube's policy changes that they were doing. I don't know. It seemed like they were doing policy changes about every couple of months several years ago. And that's kind of when we started really losing interest in it. Um, and so, you know, that kind of had, I guess, had its effect that they wanted. They ultimately kind of limited channels ultimately that I was interested in. And we were doing content and stuff, that just seemed to get, I don't know if it was like demonetized. It never really got demonetized, but you get flagged for stuff. And there was just content that I wanted to do at the time that they weren't supportive of. You're talking about Pro 2A type stuff. Never really got into that on this channel, anyways, because of those reasons. You get flagged just for any reason. So YouTube's policies, which were really flaky a couple of years ago, sort of just turned us off to the whole thing. Um, that's probably the main reason. It just kind of lost interest in that, so it became harder and harder to kind of get back into like how do we, what do we do? This was about kind of this channel's always been about kind of like DIY prepper channel, that type of stuff, and we were building a cabin up in North Idaho and all that. So we were just kind of doing all that, and honestly, for a short amount of time, believe it or not, this channel was growing pretty good. I mean, I would say 4 or 5 years ago, we were growing pretty good. I was thinking like, hey, if it all else, if it went down, like we could probably go all in on this, and maybe make something of it. Um, I would get feedback from people just on the comments, and they say, well, this looks like you're treating it as a hobby, and that's exactly right. It was a hobby. It is still kind of a hobby. So we never really took it serious. I have a day job. My job has been what it's been for the last, man, almost 20 years. I'm an industrial designer, so I design products for companies. I work for a company now. I've worked for a company this whole time. Different companies over the years. So, like I said, we just kind of, I don't know, it slowly just kind of phased out. The viewership went way down, and a lot of YouTubers, kind of the original. There's like kind of the original YouTube crowd. Like it was kind of the Wild West. I'd say 2009, 10. Our channel started in 2013, so we've been doing it for a while. It was kind of the Wild West. I mean, you could find some cool stuff on here. Everybody was just kind of doing their own thing, and you'd learn stuff. And over time, like I said, during those policy changes that they were doing, there was something mentioned, if I remember right. It's been a while since I looked at all this stuff, but where YouTube basically said, we're going to support and kind of cater to, I don't know what the term was, commercially viable channels. I don't know is my audio even working? Check, check. If anybody's on here, I see people popping in and out. Can you comment and see if you can even hear my audio or if I need to turn this up? It's like it looks like it's really quiet. That's weird. I don't know. If you're on here, just see if you can see if this is working. I really haven't done a live stream on this thing for so long. It took me forever to get in here too, by the way. Maybe I need to get closer to the mic. Um, okay, Joseph Ortiz, thank you. Thank you for that. I see the monitor down here and it's like, I don't know, it's like barely turning on and off. Anyways, back to the whole reason, like we just kind of slowed down slash quit YouTube in the last, really the last couple of years. Those policy changes had an effect. And I think what it was is YouTube for a while was like, and I don't know if this is still their policy, I haven't kept up on it, but we are going to support slash monetize slash really keep in good graces if you are a commercially viable channel. And so that's kind of what I've noticed. That's kind of where it seems that YouTube has gone. If you, it's like if you're watching a homesteading video or some prepper video, it feels like you're watching like maybe an episode of HGTV or something. It's like really super produced. And I never went really high production with this channel. It was always kind of, as things happen, build stuff, show how it was going on, and that was it. Just kind of put it up there, and people seem to be into it for a while. So overall, YouTube's policy changes, viewership dropping, and that's fine. Things change. I have seen some channels that I follow have just kind of during those times doubled down, really went for it, and they seem to have kind of taken off again. So, and I have noticed in the last, I'd say, couple months, the content has seems, I don't know, it seems like it's kind of getting back to the old Wild West way of doing YouTube. Maybe that's just me and I'm getting the algorithms changing and I'm seeing stuff like, wow, I've never seen that channel before. That's kind of cool. So that's been a little bit more of maybe a bit of a motivator to kind of get back on. So I'm kind of rambling here, but basically, like we basically just stopped uploading. I mean, really, it just didn't happen. The third thing that's probably been the biggest thing that has been a reason for not uploading is my hobbies changed. Like this used to be kind of my hobby, my creative outlet. I'd go to work, design things for people, kind of ghost write whatever for product companies, and you don't it's funny when you design for people, your name is never out there. You work for a company, you are the company, and it's kind of creative, but it's very like corporate and in behind the scenes. I was able to go on YouTube and kind of show my hobbies and interact with people who had similar hobbies. That was cool. That was fun. And so that hobby sort of changed into I got back after like a 17, 18-year hiatus. I got back into building, restoring, and flying model airplanes, which is kind of a nerdy kind of hobby, but I really enjoy it. Enjoyed it back in the day, and it's been super fun. The problem with that is that it has nothing to do with this channel. It has nothing to do with what we started this as, and I guess it could morph into that and just put a camera up while we're working on airplanes. But it's so far off from the original brand of this channel that it just seems unnatural. I'd be better off probably starting a completely different channel on it. So I guess the question is, what is the future? Like we quit. Are we going to do this again? And ultimately, I think the question that I want to pose, and there's a few people popping in and out of here. I can see some people are still kind of, when I turn this thing on, it's like, people show up and I still, can interact with cool people. And I'm going to read this comment from Joseph, and feel free to comment and just kind of pipe in and voice what you think we should do. People change, circumstances change, and that's normal. I don't remember. It said Joseph said I subscribed originally several years ago. Don't remember how long it's been. When you built a cabin. That's been a while, Joseph. That's been a while. We started that project, believe it or not, in 2013, 2014. I think is when we started building the cabin. So here's the funny thing as well. This This brings up a good point. And then I said, I hope that you finish your shed that you were posting on not that long ago. I'm in the shed right now. Like I should have filmed the rest of it, and I apologize. I apologize for not filming it, but I completely here's the deal with the shed, okay? And here's the deal with like here's the deal with what's been going on. I started building the shed and started it about a year ago and put the foundation down. Similar how we started the cabin, same kind of deal, except I insulated the floor as I think I mentioned. I think I filmed that. Insulated the floor, so that took a little while longer. Winter hit fast, spring came late. All of a sudden I found myself like, okay, now it's mud season, like mud season up here. We've moved to North Idaho. We live in North Idaho. So mud season hits and you kind of have to work around that. And then you kind of have to build as fast as you can, what you're going to get done in the summer and then before winter hits. So the reality with the shed slash studio that I'm in now is for whatever reason, this last summer, I had zero motivation to get this thing done. And maybe that's just a trend with the whole YouTube thing. Like, and then so I had zero motivation to get the thing done. I did get it done because I'm stubborn. I got it done. I'm literally sitting in it, and I'm not done. I still have to install like a mini split, which I started. But there's various reasons why I didn't film certain aspects of this shed for just how I'm building it. But yeah, and Joseph, time does fly, right? I mean, it's like I was just thinking about that the other night. Like next thing you know, you're you're old and you're trying to figure out what to do next. But I got the shed basically done. Other than the heating thing, I have a heater out here, but I'm trying to finish up the little ends of this thing. So I apologize for that whole thing. I can apologize for that, for not filming the end of the shed. That will not happen. I can show you the outside of it when the weather's better. I can show you the inside of it kind of when we're finished here, but you can basically see it. It came out nice. I mean, there's the door we shoved in there. I need to take the tape off, and I got the back wall in a couple weeks ago. It's just a really basic shed. I put wood floors in. You can kind of see that. I still have tools, still working on it. But I'm in here mainly for the work that I do, my day job. I work remote for a knife company and enjoy that, but I figured, this is mainly my remote design studio. On this table that I'm sitting at right here, I sketch out products every day and then work on CAD. And so it gives me a really nice place to work. And now I'm out of the house, so the kids can have, and Mrs. D can have a nice extra room to do homeschool and stuff in, and do, hobbies, crafts, and homeschool and stuff, and a nice guest room. So I'm out of that. I'm in here now full time, other than I got a few loose ends. So I apologize. I did not get the end of this build filmed. I kind of lost interest in the build. I found it really hard to kind of stay on task and get this thing done. And partly because I am working full time. Work, it kind of ebbs and flows. It's busy, it's slow. It was pretty busy. And so I just kind of slowed down on the filming. And then I figured, when I had motivation, I tried to go out and get it done. Now, miraculously, I ended up getting everything pretty much done on this thing before winter hit, which I didn't think was going to happen, because things were kind of, I had to install some stuff, and I just did not think it was going to happen. But I just got the walls painted and everything, not just a couple weeks ago. So I mean, it's been very slow, and I don't know why that is. I used to be able to build things pretty fast. Now I'm fairly slow. So, but we got it done. I mean, and basically I built it, other than I think I had a friend help me slide up some sheeting up onto some roof sheathing, and then my father-in-law helped me lift up the walls like you saw. Other than that, I built this thing 100% by myself, out here, just kind of coming out in the evenings after work and plugging away at it. So that's what happened. And so I didn't film it, but the good news is, and you guys are gonna kind of have to help me on this. I'm rambling a little bit. You'll have to help me on this, because I don't really know what to to do with this channel. We now actually, now that this thing is done, this studio, it's a great studio. I really enjoy being out here. It's nice and warm. It's very insulated. It's super cold outside. A bunch of snow on the ground. But Joseph says, tear it down and rebuild it. I mean, that would be exciting. That would be exciting. No, I'm not going to. Sorry, I'm not going to do that. Maybe I'll build another one. I'll build one right next to it. I'll build one behind it. I'll make them smaller and smaller. But I will. That's a good plan. Some people have said, hey, follow up on the shed build. To me, like I said, it was my motivation for lack of motivation for building the shed translated to me not filming it. It was just like, it was kind of a slog, honestly. It was kind of like, I honestly felt like I just kind of had to build this thing at first. Like, it's in the backyard. I kind of had to get it done. Now that it's done, I'm happy with it. So again, like I was saying, we have a nice studio to film in. We can do videos now. We can do review videos like we did on kind of old school D2S if we want to. I haven't hooked it up because I'm not there yet. But I want to put a nice, like a legit ham radio system out here. Like, this is sitting in front of me, not plugged into anything. Behind me in this toolbox, I have all the right grounding equipment for spark arrestor, like lightning arresters and stuff. I'm probably gonna have to wait till spring to put those ground rods in, but like I want to drill, put a ground rod in, put a good antenna up here, a good battery system, all that, and make it kind of get back to the old school D2S stuff. I think that would be fun. Ham radio stuff. I'm still kind of into that. So again, kind of at a weird spot right now. Backstory, and if you guys have followed the channel for, if you're old school members, like, or watchers of the channel, like, you'll know that we did end up moving up to North Idaho. So during COVID, what happened was I started working remote at the company that a couple of companies ago. I've changed jobs once, twice since then, and started working remote. Worked at this company for almost a decade. If I mention their name, you'll know their name. That's not. I try to keep that kind of stuff quiet for various reasons, various legal reasons sometimes. Towards the, I think it was 2021, I was asking like HR, I was like, hey, look, this, we're cranking out projects. Like, the company was flourishing. We were doing tons of projects. I was working remote. We came up here so much, like we would come up to North Idaho where we wanted to be closer to the cabin and all that kind of stuff. I said, can we just stay doing this? Like, can we stay working remote? Is that a possibility? And it's like, no. Like, here's a donut. They hung up a bunch of plastic spit walls, for sneezing and all that kind of stuff, and packed everybody back in the office probably mid 2021. I said, forget this. Like, so I just went and found another job, worked there for about a year and a half. It was kind of a disaster. But it got us in gear. We were able to move up here to North Idaho where we filmed a lot of our videos, with the cabin build. So of course, 2021, if you guys know anything about real estate during that time, it was like crazy. There was nothing available. I mean, it was like people were moving out of cities, and they still are, emptying these places out, going out to like the suburbs or rural parts of the area. And I guess we're kind of like the trespassers out here, the people, that aren't supposed to be here or whatever. But we moved up here during that time. And, I think Mrs. D and I, we've talked about this. We talked about this a lot of times. I think when we were thinking about moving, we thought, okay, we got this remote job. Like, okay, we're taking it. We took a big pay cut to do that remote job, by the way. Like, when you think of people why people choose to do remote, like, it's a benefit to kind of your sanity, but you'll take a loss in pay to do it. Then inflation hit. So then it was really painful. But we basically moved up, and we kind of talked. We're like, hey, it was, if we go up here, we got to try to find something that's more along the lines of this homesteading lifestyle that we kind of wanted to do. Well, we got here and there was like no like there was no houses for sale. I mean, interest rates were great, prices were high, but there was nothing for sale. And I mean, it was so weird. We got up here, we sold our house in like a few weeks in Oregon, and then we're like living with Mrs. D's parents for a while who live up here. And we're going like, are we going to be able to find a spot to live? So we had to find this house in a neighborhood, and it's a nice little neighborhood, nice little house. Not exactly where we both planned on moving to. We kind of figured we could get some space, get a little bit more property. You say, why don't you live on the property, where our cabin is? Well, that property is, we, again, we need your comments and we need your help because we don't know what to do with it. We're about 40 minutes south of that property. So, I mean, we are closer to the cabin. I go up there and hunt. I use it for hunting property, recreation, friends, and then we go up and have barbecues and hang out on the mountainside and enjoy it. We don't really know what to do with it. We put a well in a few years ago. Don't know. Should we sell that, sell this, we could do that, but interest rates are crazy high, right? So there's all these the world is just sort of strange. So what we did is nothing. We stayed here and we're hunkering down like we do. And we were enjoying what just living in a neighborhood, and it's fine. And then we can go up there and do that for recreation. We live in a beautiful part of the country. Both Mrs. D and I didn't think it would be like that. We thought, like I said, we would get some property and be able to afford. Well, we thought when we moved up here, we'd be able to afford a lot more because, people make this assumption that it's cheaper. Well, at that time, it was like prices were crazy. So, some things ended up better and some things ended up not, I wouldn't say worse, but not how we planned in a way. Why don't you just go live up at the property? I mean, you could do that. Let some people, why don't you just go up there, finish the cabin, live up there, homestead, make a big channel. It's always an option, guys. Like, it's always an option. I know people up here who do that and they do just fine. It's always an exciting life to be able to go up there and just kind of live off the land and live in a trailer or a tent for 2 years while you build your dream house and, be a professional YouTuber or whatever. But the reality is I have a great job. It pays more than YouTube. I'm sorry, it pays more than YouTube. It pays way more. And it's a job that I went to school for. And so it may be good for better or for worse. I feel like I need to use that education and do it. Maybe that's hindered me in doing other things and letting go and just kind of trying something completely different. I think there's something to that. When you spend a lot of money and time learning a trade or a skill, it's very hard. And then you develop a rapport and you get some seniority and you have some successes and all that. And you wake up one day and you're almost 50 and you wonder kind of like, well, what's next? Like, what should I do? Should I just continue? I can continue on, I like what I do. So why change, but maybe it keeps you from doing, some really crazy stuff that you've been thinking about. So, title of this project, we are at 23 minutes. I'm just rambling for the most part. Thank you. There's a few people checking in. I don't know who you are. Identify yourselves. Maybe they're watching the beginning of the video. We don't really know what to do. We got remote property with a cabin that's still unfinished. As you've seen it in the video, we have this shed, which that's a great idea to go back and once I get it kind of done, I can show the exterior, the interior. It did come out nice. Like I said, this came out, other than I'm going to finish up some stuff, some access door stuff. But I mean, overall, it's pretty much ready to rock. Like, I got the trim in. It's nice out here. Joseph is chatting. I don't know if you guys can see this, and when I replay, I'm going to see if I can leave the comments up. So I don't know what the settings are. It's been a while, He says, my Joseph Ortiz says, your hoodie says freedom. Your remote job allows you to go anywhere. Take advantage of that. Maybe a new location. Sell the house and cabin. Buy land elsewhere, etc. Possibilities are endless. I've thought about that. I've thought about that. And here's the thing. It's tricky. So we could do that. We could go anywhere. However, we do like it up here in North Idaho. Let's make a noise. It's where we want to live. We also have family up here. So where we lived in Oregon, we had the luxury and the advantage of being around my family, my side of the family. They live down there. Mrs. D's family, her parents live up here, very like probably 15 minutes from where we live. So it's unfortunate, like the way it works out. It was and it's honestly, it was crazy when we left. It was much. That's one thing we never really talked about on this channel. This is this video is going to probably be pretty long, and it's kind of like a tell-all, like what's been going on in the last 5 years. So it was much harder, I think, for us to leave that area than I thought. We always talked about moving up here and like kind of going on, homestead, do all the stuff. Ultimately, the interesting thing about remote work is you have freedom. Now, let me word this very carefully. With remote work, you have freedoms, but people think this is kind of what I hear a lot. Because I really this is one thing I'm passionate about is remote work. I love the idea of technology like this, being able to have a video and essentially an internet connection. And I literally do the exact same job that I did for 15 years in a corporate office in a city. I do the exact same thing, same deal. And so that's good and bad. Is it freedom? Ultimate freedom? Ultimately, I still work a normal hour job. In fact, I probably work more in many ways, in many cases, because you don't separate, right? You're always, and when you're working in an office, you check out and you go home, and then your home life is different than your work life. When you're remote, your work life is kind of blended. It's weird. It's kind of hard to explain, but there's this myth that, when you're remote, you hear it all the time. Oh, you're getting called back to the office. Time to get back to work. Well, I never stopped working. For the last 4 years have been like, to me, like nothing's happened. I just literally continue to do the same job, literally just do the same thing. It's just work. And so just because I've gone remote doesn't mean I guess what I'm trying to say, just because I've gone remote, Joseph, doesn't mean that I have like, I can just go out and like do anything I want. It's still a very much, I have to be on the hours of the company that I'm at. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's great. It's very good pay. It's very stable. It's a nice job. Like I get benefits, which I wouldn't, if I just went, did something else. So I think the myth with remote is that you're on vacation all the time. It's really not the case. If you haven't done it, you don't know. Utah Mike chimed in here, and thanks for that comment. Utah Mike says, I work remotely as a subcontractor, self-employed, 20 years now, same company. Now, I don't know if you're talking about self-employed or if you are kind of acting as self-employed, working for 20 years at the same company, or if you work for yourself for 20 years. I don't know. You'll have to clarify that because there's a little difference there. But the point is that, the work follows you. It doesn't matter if you're remote or if you're in an office. To me, I've seen very little difference other than I am literally twice as efficient remote. And I know that because I work in the exact same industry doing the same products that I did at a job that I was doing for almost a decade. And I can do probably twice as many of those products in half the time as the same industry, same product. So I mean, it's like apples to apples. So it's so much more efficient. The downside is you don't get the day-to-day interaction, which honestly is a parasitic loss in most companies. I mean, I remember we'd have these meetings all the time at, previous jobs, and it just took up so much time. And now you have to kind of curate all that, like in an email, or literally make an effort to do a meeting and have a video chat or whatever. But So it's not just as easy as checking out and going and doing some crazy thing, selling the property, selling the house. But back to the first point, family lives here too. So we like to be near family. And right now we have the advantage of this house that we live at. Yes, it's not off grid. It's not the way that I envisioned, like in my mind, like envisioned this whole thing to go down when we move to Idaho is all going to be off grid homesteading. It's a very suburban little house, but we're in a beautiful area. The kids are thriving. The kids love it. They're involved in all sorts of activities. We are close to town, which is a small town, beautiful town. And we're also close to my in-laws, so we can, help them as needed. And honestly, they help us all the time doing stuff like constantly. So, um, okay, Utah might just clarify that. So you are self-employed. I am not an employee. I pay all taxes, healthcare, retirement on me. Good for you. That's um, my father-in-law and my dad and my uncle and my grandpa were all self-employed. So I'm probably the only one in the, you know, like in this one thing where I'm like in this family where I actually have like a corporate job. It's kind of funny. Um, and so, but I just got good at it. I guess I just got decent at it, like making my way in a kind of a company setting, which is kind of odd. They all kind of ditched the company settings and sort of went like self-employed for years. Um, I would say if you're going to do it early, because as you get farther and farther in your career, it's harder and harder to do that, to break away, because it's kind of the golden handcuffs. The more you work somewhere, the longer you do your stuff, the easier it is to stay in that position. And it doesn't it just, if you're young, dumb, aren't making any money, do it. Like, it's just tricky. Joseph Ortiz says, I'm stuck in a major city for employment and I hate it. However, if I move, I would lose a lot of money and benefits. I do have the advantage of working from home a day or two a week, but I'm stuck. Um, and then Utah might comment, I stayed in the suburbs for my daughter and school, sports, and friends. So and then Joseph says, when I say freedom, that's what I meant. I hear you and I feel you probably more than you realize. And I think these are conversations that Mrs. D and I've had many, many times. Like, I think us guys, I think we were talking about this the other day. Us guys, when 20, what was it? It would be about 25, 24, 25 years ago. Um, basically, I decided I was going to go from blue collar, kind of like I was working as a mechanic, a machinist for, through the late 90s. Got really tired of that kind of stuff, just so monotonous. So I wanted to get in on the creative side of things. Like, I was good at drawing. I liked the CAD side of things, but I wanted to get more on the creative side. So I packed up literally everything I owned into a very tiny 1987 BMW 325, everything I owned. And I thought that was a lot of stuff. Left for California, no plans, had some friends to stay with that I'd met a couple of years earlier. And that was it. Like, I wanted to get into Art Center College of Design. That was my goal. It was the hardest school to get into, one of the most rigorous, crazy design schools you can possibly get into. And that was my goal, is to get into that school. So I left, had no plans, wasn't accepted, just figured it out. And so it was like you could just kind of go on an adventure and kind of do that. Like you said, live freedom, do your freedom, go crazy. Like, that was truly like, just kind of go check it out. I met my wife down there and Mrs. D down there. She was kind of doing the same thing. She was acting. Had a career going, and we met up and got married shortly after I got done with school, and moved back up to Oregon where my family is, and then visited. We're closer to both of our families actually for 15 years or so. And so, it's like, yeah, you have a bit more, you don't have the burden of, trying to make your, sacrifice for family. You're only answering to yourself. So some of these decisions, I think, naturally happen because you're taking care of a family. Like, you got to do what's best for the whole family. And that's something that I've had to kind of like learn. Like, we both want pretty common living situation, but Right now, being able to access activities for the kids, being close to the in-laws, having access to, being when you it's just it's if you want to go remote out here, you're way out there. You're driving on a highway, it's dangerous. Do you want wife and kids to be driving on that every day? So we talk about that kind of stuff. So, some of these dreams may be on hold, some of them may change, and that we just have to be okay with that. Um, yeah, yeah, Joseph, you're right. You get stuck in a city doing a job, and because the pay is good. We've talked about that before. Like, I could go back to a city and make a ton of money, like legitimately right now. Like, I have friends who are all around the world who are making tons of money, but the sacrifice is they got to live in some suburban environment and make a bunch of money. I couldn't. I did that for 15 years. We finally just. I think the COVID thing sort of like got us all motivated to go crazy and do just like stuff that we put off. And we did it. We took the jump and it's worked out. 95% of this has worked out. It's been great. But yes, you are sacrificing some of this stuff. By the way, do you guys like my accent lighting? I'm trying to be like, even though this is like a last minute video, I'm trying to give you some sort of production value. So it's an accent light. Um, Utah Mike says living remote costs money. Better have savings stocked up. That's also true. Everybody thinks go live off grid. I don't know if you mean off grid or remote. We certainly could go live at the property off grid. I mean, we got some solar panels. We could add some more. We have a well up there. We have some friends that we've known for years who moved up just around the corner from our property up there. It's expensive. Like they're retired. They're kind of living out this dream in their this off-grid thing that they've wanted to do for many, many years. They're kind of doing that in retirement. Their kids are grown up. And so that's always a possibility later on. Do you keep the property, just leave it for later on when you retire, or the kids kind of, move away and do what they want to do? So, but it is expensive. It's not always cheap, especially if you're doing like solar and you're running things, and especially around here, there's like no light in the winter. So you have to run generator, propane, and it gets expensive. It's almost cheaper to live in a house like this where you're plugged in. I mean, really, the power and water isn't all that expensive here. Taxes are fairly low. So, yeah, I mean that's something to think about. You do have to have a plan if you're going to go remote slash off grid. I don't know if that's what you meant, Utah Mike, remote or off grid. Savings. Yeah, it's good to have savings too. That's the other thing is, we are getting older and you wake up one day. I think about this at night. It's like 20 years ago doesn't seem like that long ago. You wake up and you're almost 50 one day. It's like, what are we doing? Are we doing the right? Should we do something like different? I don't know. So I don't know. I don't have a whole lot more really to talk about. It's more of just kind of like a tell all. Haven't done a video in a long time. Does that mean we are done with YouTube? Am I serious? I quit YouTube permanently? It's interesting because I think about making videos a lot. I actually think, man, I should do a video on that. And then I don't do it. I don't do it for various reasons. The equipment's old, or it's just stuff's out of the date, or I get, honestly, I get kind of nervous in front of a camera, to be honest. I think I used to, when I was doing this more, I got used to being on camera a little bit, and I could kind of roll. When I go back and watch my videos, I'm like, man, I don't know. Like I kind of lost it there the last few years. So probably if we started doing them regularly, once, twice a week, we'd get back into the groove. I don't know. I don't think it's over. I think it's one of those things where it's got to be a reciprocity thing. It has to be more like YouTube. Like the algorithm has to kind of support people who are a little bit different than what they want commercially. Like it's going to have to do that. I enjoy non-commercialized videos personally. The stuff that's been coming up in my feed, real people doing real things again. I like that. I watch that. I think it's great. If that's what it's going to be about, YouTube, if you're watching, which they're not, but they are watching, just so you know, they are watching. Um, if they change back to that kind of old school model, Wild West YouTube, it'd be awesome. It'd be great. I think it'd be fun. Um, if more people it's one of those things. I got to put out the effort. More people will be into it. That kind of motivates me to do more things. It's kind of give and take thing. Um, Joseph says, whatever you plan, I hope you post more videos, film anything, whatever interests you all watch. Thanks a lot. I mean, that actually means a lot. I've heard people say that. I don't know what makes people want to watch me doing stuff, working on airplanes or whatever. I mean, I had an airplane, like a model airplane, sitting on this table last week that I was finishing up restoration. I bought a guy's collection last year. He, that's kind of a cool story. I mean, to me, like model airplanes are more of a lot of the channels out there are like, buying these foamies, these Chinese foamies, and there's nothing wrong with that. They fly good. I just bought one. Not, it's going to be showing up tomorrow. Actually, it's a little jet. But I like to restore old planes, like from the 80s, 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I have some stuff that's pretty old, 50 years old. And because I like to keep that stuff going, I think there's some nostalgia to that. And just to kind of, find out, just to see where the hobbies come from. I enjoy that kind of stuff. But I bought this guy's whole collection of gear and 4 planes and a bunch of engines, a bunch of stuff last year for a really inexpensive price. He's getting old, getting out of the hobby, and three of the planes out of the batch were his brother who had passed away um, several years ago, I think, and he was really into it. So I got his stuff, and I've been restoring those models. And I think it's kind of a tribute to these guys. They flew these things, they flew the heck out of them, and it's like you can repair them and get them going again. And to me, it's kind of like, I don't know. I think that his brother would like that. I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. I think he'll like seeing it, and I think his brother would like seeing this old planes flying again. So maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe it's just kind of keeping old stuff going. Like it's been sort of part of the channel, like fixing things and repairing things, and that's kind of what I do. So it's just translated into a different hobby, but that's basically what I've got. A few people showed up to the video. Been on here for 42 minutes already. Took a while to get this live feed going. I had to update Chrome. Chrome is what you film off of, and it was not working at all. So again, I've been out of the loop that I don't even know how to run this stuff. Basically, that's it. So let me know comments if you want to see how is this going to go? How is this going to go with with the new? I don't know. I don't know how we're going to do. I do have. Hey, Utah Mike. He says he's got to go. Take care. I hope to see more. We're working on the decision right now, Utah Mike. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for just your take on stuff too. The thing about the property is we do have stuff that now that this is done, now that this is getting settled, this studio shed thing, other than I got to fix a couple things. Once that's getting done, in the spring, we do want to get back up to the property. There's some stuff that we really want to do, like clear out some of the land, whether we keep it, sell it, use it, don't use it for hunting. There's a spot on there where that cabin is that for years is overgrown with trees. We got to clear it out. So I intend on at least showing that part of the build. Like I think that, or just working on that property. I have a new chainsaw that I want to test. I'm excited about running that. It's just snowing right now. I can't even get up there. So we got to, there's projects we got to do up there. And I want to get that place. Like I said, no matter what we do with it, there's a few things I want to get finished on that property. And I think that that's going to be in the spring, summer. I think that's going to be a great thing to film again. So maybe this was just a hiatus. I don't know. John Wick. I remember that name, not from the movie, but from this. It is nice to see. Thanks, John Wick. Thanks, John. Good to hear from you again. Or we can just do live videos, just hang out, we can just hang out. Actually, here's an interesting thing. Let me tell you something before I shut this down. Speaking of weird, like YouTube coincidences, there's a YouTuber called Night Flyer. I think it's Night Flyer with 2 Y's. And thanks, Joseph. Film it all. Anything you build, repair, maintain will be entertaining. I don't feel like I'm entertaining anybody. I watch these things like, dude, really? This is entertaining? But I guess people just want to hang out. Speaking of hanging out online with YouTubers, if any of you guys do like flying model airplanes, not even in real life, but like simulators, there's a program on Steam. All the kids understand this stuff. We have kids now who are starting to get into video games and stuff. They understand this. But there's Steam, and it's like a video game hosting platform. And there's a program called Aerofly RC something. Is it RC10? I think I have it on here. It's like Aerofly RC10. It's a German flight simulator. Anyways, we have a little meetup on Thursday nights at 7 Pacific. And we get on there with Night Flyer. And now Night Flyer is he's been doing YouTube for like 15 years. And back in the day, like if you're into RC folklore, he worked at the old Craft Radio company. It's Phil Craft. He was like one of the first RC. Well, it wasn't the first RC controller, but first like mainstream for the general public RC control system. He worked there back in the 70s, left like a crazy, like he'll tell you about it, like a crazy, like electronics top tier career. And he went and worked for a fun, like just something he really wanted to do. So he's been an RC pilot, builder, experimenter for 60 years. I mean, the guy is like a brain. He's a genius. Anyways, we all meet up on Thursday nights and fly this RC flight simulator. We get on Discord and we talk, and he's just really funny to hang out with. Like, and he's just who he is, Dave, Night Flyer Dave. And we just kind of hang out and fly. So if any of you guys ever want to get into that, I mean, it's pretty easy. Just drop me a line. We'll tell you where to meet up, and you get on that program and you go it's just on a server, and we get in there and give each other a hard time and, make fun of each other. And we fly different planes and try to do different stunts. And, again, and it's good practice too. If you ever do fly planes or drones or whatever, drones kind of a big thing right now. But we just get out there and hang out. And so it's online. And then you get to meet people. There's another YouTube channel called Tail Heavy Productions. Sometimes Zach, I think his name is Zach, he'll get on there and fly around. And that's a pretty well-known channel as well. They're pretty funny dudes, younger, totally opposite ends of the spectrum, but good-natured people. And it's always the same thing. You get out and hang out with friends and fly airplanes and do it online. No big deal. So that's kind of fun. That's kind of a YouTube thing relating to planes, but yeah, I don't think there's anything else. Snow was I should do a video on our snow blower. I love that thing. It's a 2-stroke. I love it. But we haven't had a lot of snow this year to test that on, so kind of a bummer on that. Anyways, speaking of flying, you could do a drone video of your remote property. Take us hunting too. That'd be cool. Yeah. So hunting. Good point on hunting. I thought, that's a good point. Again, this is a tell-all. We haven't even been here an hour yet. I'm just rambling, but we're going into different stuff, and you're reminding me of things, Joseph. In the last 3, so I work for a knife company that's very heavily based around the hunting lifestyle. I never really did much hunting. I mean, I did like duck hunting and like fishing and let's see, some goose hunting in Oregon with some friends. Never big game. We go out big game hunting. There's so much pressure out there. Like I just never saw anything. I couldn't, never even saw a big game out there. And it was always, you have to drive so far to get to places. It seemed like here, since the first year we moved here, second year. Because we had to be resident. So you need to get residency. You want to get residence license because the pricing is crazy. It's like $500 for a tag or something when you're not a resident. It takes like 6-8 months to get residency or something like that. Resident tag. Anyways, like 2022, I started hunting deer and I was successful. And then the last 3 years, I've been fairly successful. I got a nice little buck last year. And so I could bring the I could bring the camera along hunting. I love hunting. For me, it's like, again, it's one of those ways of just kind of getting out into nature and enjoying it. I feel super relaxed out there. I don't know. Like I said, like you're probably right. I don't know YouTube's policy. I think you can show hunting videos. People do. Maybe you can't monetize them or something. I'll have to look into that. I know it happens. I know you can show hunting videos and people do it all the time. I just don't know how it's done. You have to be kind of, I don't know. I don't know what the rules are, but it would be kind of fun to put a camera on a GoPro and just kind of do a hunt. I'm not some expert hunter. I'm literally learning. I don't know anything. I've been successful. I see a deer and I shoot it and then I butcher it myself. Like, so we have a freezer full of venison. The kids love venison. I mean, they love it. Mrs. D loves venison as well. So we make all sorts of stuff with venison now. Um, we make a really good sausage with venison, actually, really good. Tastes amazing. Um, so that'd be kind of fun. You're right. I could try that. Drone videos. I don't personally fly drones. I fly old school RC planes. They're line of sight. So I'm on the ground, they're in the air. I don't have a camera. I can't see what they see. I just watch. It's old school. It's like kind of classic. I'd like to get into drones and that kind of stuff or put a camera on a plane. I could do that, but I don't have the gear for that yet. I kind of tend to get excited about. For me, it's like I like to see kind of the air. It's like having your own personal air show. You're flying the plane. When you're FPV, you don't see the plane. You don't enjoy that. You see it up high, and that's cool. But when you're flying low, when you're on the ground watching, it's like you're seeing the plane, and you get to enjoy the way it looks and stuff. It's a different experience, actually. But I don't have drones. I think, and here's the other thing. You want to talk about hunting regulations, Joseph? Let me tell you about hunting regulations on YouTube, like what they allow and don't allow. Drones and RC planes, since I got back into the hobby, for instance, um, they are heavily regulated by the government now, like the FAA. Like I have an FAA license. Like I got to take tests and quizzes. It's like I have an FAA number that I got to put on my plane. We never had that 20, 30 years ago. Nothing like that. And so when you fly a plane for a hobby or a drone, like there's some gray area as to whether you're making money on that. And if you're making money on a drone, it's a commercial license and it's a totally different set of laws and you need a permit and you need to do all this stuff. Otherwise, they will crack down on you and they will. Go look around YouTube, you'll find that it's pretty serious. They will go after you. I'm not saying that they will if you're taking a couple of clips of some trees, but like they could. You're technically monetized, making money. They can. It's a commercial license. It's called Part 107. You got to get a test. They got to take a huge test in order to get Part 107, and then it costs a bunch of money to maintain everything. It's just a pain. So that's why you see a lot of people who are doing like drone. Like one of my favorite channels is Wrangler Star. I've watched him since the beginning. And he used to do drone videos all the time, like drone footage. And I've noticed over the last few years, he doesn't do a lot of that. And it's because, I don't know if it's because of this, but I think it's probably part of it. They can crack down on that pretty easy. It's like you're using a drone, obviously, and you need your license. Most people aren't going to go out and spend a bunch of time and money getting a license to film YouTube videos that don't make any money. You know what I mean? I mean, if it's a career, that's one thing, but so everything's regulated. Again, it's just, oh, man, you try to do one thing, you get excited about it, and then it's just regulation. So hopefully that changes in this administration a little bit. I don't want to get too political. Don't really care if I do get political, but hopefully some of those regulations get booted because it's making life miserable for a lot of us who just want to do stuff, do cool things. Yeah, that's it. We were almost at an hour. That was crazy. Just rambling, talking to you guys. If you don't mind the live stream, what do you think of the live stream? Should I just do live streams every now and then? Maybe we can just hang out and like build things or work on stuff or fix models or work on engines. I don't know. I don't work on my car a lot, and I'll tell you why. We don't drive a lot, so nothing breaks. Like there's nothing that breaks on our car. We don't drive. So, I mean, that's a good thing, I guess. But like back when I was having to commute everywhere, like stuff would break all the time. and I had to go fix it. And you're changing oil all the time because you're running your car constantly. So now it's like we just kind of hunker down. If we want to drive, we drive. If we don't, we don't. Go ride a bike, whatever. So yeah, things are just different. Things aren't exactly how I thought they would turn out. I thought we moved up to YouTube, moved up to Idaho, we'd be doing more YouTube. That's just not how, it's weird. I don't know. It's just not how it worked out. Got up to Idaho, was not motivated to do YouTube anymore. It's really strange. So um, I think once we start getting back into some of these projects that I'm personally excited about finishing up the property and doing something up there, I think that's going to come through in videos again. I think it's going to be like, we got to film it, have some fun, and get some feedback, and just kind of show the life up here. There is some cool stuff to show, some cool stuff that's available outdoor wise, and hiking and off-roading and stuff like that we're going to be doing this year. So it could be good, but it's 8 o'clock. I'm tired. It's been a long day, a lot of work. Thanks for hanging out, guys. If you want to do this again, let me know. Comments are going to be open. I'm going to see if I can just leave these chats up here, and I don't know if I can do that after the fact or if I have to specify that, but it's always kind of cool to see the context and the comments come up. But Joseph. So here's the thing, Joseph. It makes a great comment and a great point. Film as much as you can, even if you don't post it. You'll have the video for later if you decide to edit it and post it. I did actually film parts of the shed and stuff that I didn't post. I would do that sometimes, so I may have actually more footage of this thing. But I can do a detail. What I can do is do a detailed video. Honestly, there are some other reasons why I didn't film certain things requiring permits. There's reasons. Okay, I'm not going to film all that. Like everything's to code, but it's Idaho. I'm just saying. You don't need to share every detail. So there's reasons to certain things, but I can show you 99% of everything, and it's all good, and everything is, we're doing everything within all the laws or whatever. Yeah, that's a good point. I should film. I need to. All my my cameras and stuff are old. I actually sold one of the cameras because it was garbage, but apparently everybody just uses iPhones nowadays. Maybe I should start doing that. Yeah, that's it. We're at an hour, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Let's do this again sometime. Thanks for hanging out. Talk to you soon. See you as I always say, see you on the next one.